All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here. Sorry, I'm running a couple of minutes behind. Let's get right into this, shall we? Welcome to the stream. If you're new, let me explain to you how this works real quick. So what I'm going to do is we're going to switch these charts up, and I'm going to switch over to the Trade Scanner Pro. All right. We're going to go to the NASDAQ futures, and we're going to see what kind of trades we have today, okay, just after the market open here. But real quick, I just want to point out, nice Bitcoin move, huh? What was I saying on Monday, and what had I written in my YouTube? My Trading View article. What was it that I wrote? That if we break out, there's a high probability that this thing follows through. What was I saying? It's a bad idea to short. Remember that? Remember that? I mean, look, any scenario could have happened there, but I kept pointing out the higher low in the failed low situation, the broader higher low. And the better possibility would have been the retrace to this higher low, but that's not what the market gave us. We broke out, and now we're in a pretty significant resistance area. Anyway, that's Bitcoin. Just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, let's get into the NASDAQ, shall we? Because when we use a Trade Scanner Pro, as you know, what we do is we don't just jump on signals, right? The Trade Scanner Pro is a confirmation tool. So I'm not going to just jump on a signal here. What we're going to do is we're going to do some basic analysis, and then we're going to look for the Trade Scanner Pro to confirm the idea that we come up with. And then we'll see if we have a trade. Now, I'm using my eval account from Apex. It's an evaluation. The goal here is to try to beat the evaluation in a sustainable way. So the profit objective is $3,000. I'm just slightly over. I'm up like $200 on the account or something like that. I had to make 1,000 back. Okay. So let's see what we can do today. So I'm going to switch these over to the MNQ. So MNQ1. Okay. And we're going to switch. We're going to take a look at the daily chart first. MNQ1. Right. So that's the micro NASDAQ futures. This is a 50K account, which actually means it's a $2,500 account. That's the way you have to manage something like this. And in a $2,500 account, I'm not going to trade mini lots. Although I can afford 10 mini lots in this account, it would be foolish of me to throw around that kind of size in such a small account. I'll blow the account literally in one trade, right? That's unsustainable. Now, there are techniques that you can use that can actually, you could beat the eval in one day when you do go all in, but it's not sustainable. So if you do not have a sustainable strategy, the whole effort is pointless because you're not going to get any payouts anyway. You may get a payout randomly, so it's great if you're a gambler, but if you're not a gambler, and also if you don't want to waste a ton of money on eval fees and registration fees or setup fees, then you need a sustainable way to do this, right? And that's the whole point of this stream. That's why I do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I hope you can get something out of this, okay? This is ideal for people who are using the Trade Scanner Pro because you can see how I put this into practice in real time. All right, so feel free to say hello in the chat. All right, if you want to share what city or what country you're from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey. All right. Okay, so interesting move here in the NASDAQ, right? What was I talking about the other day? We had quarterly reports. I don't even know why the NASDAQ is motivated like this. I suspect it has something to do with a quarterly report, or maybe it's a tariff thing. I don't know. Okay, hold on. I may have to sneeze here. Allergies, Okay, I don't see anything in the chat. You guys feel free to say hello. So I feel like I'm not talking to a wall. So the first step, as you know, is we look for two components, right? And those of you that follow me regularly know what those are: trend and support and resistance levels. Those are the first things you have to uncover before you do anything else. Now, we're going to start with the larger time frame, the daily time frame. Now, just a couple of interesting notes. What was I saying on Monday? Remember, Monday was a bearish day. Remember that? And I said, but this could be a higher low. Well, look what it is. Higher low. Okay. This is the low back here. This is a higher low. That is a clear sign of strength. Anyone that thinks otherwise is going to find out the hard way. So when there's a higher low, typically it leads to higher highs. This is a great change in the price structure of the NASDAQ. Now, for people that, were overly bearish, you watch too much TV, man. That's all I could tell you. You consume too much Twitter, because you have to understand there are forces at play that want this market to go higher. And never mind the technical confirmation. We have a government administration that likes to measure its performance on the stock market. So you better believe they're going to pull whatever they can to put good news in the market, right? They can do it, and they can get away with it. Whether you like it or not, they can do it, right? So you're going to have that. So if you're a bear, that's a risk that you're facing, a pretty significant one, because they can just come out with any type of news, anytime, anywhere, right? And it's in their best interest to do so. And if you can call it stock market manipulation, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. They can do it. And if they can do it, it can affect your money especially if you go the wrong way. Anyway, my point is, I've been in my Q position because I am betting on that. That is one of the things I am betting on their, whatever their agenda is. I suspect it's going to be a positive, right? But I was willing to also take a lot of risk. My position, by the way, is basically on the Qs, 464. This high right here is usually coincides with 461. I haven't checked the price of the Qs. We can just take a quick look. All right, where are the Qs at? 461. Interesting. Okay. When we had tariff delay, right, on that day right there, that was 461. And look, the price on the futures is lower, and we're at 461 on the Qs right now. So if this thing tests the previous high, which is highly likely, we will probably be at 465 on the Qs. Cool. I will sell a call there. That's my plan. Anyway, that position is actually my cost basis on that position. Although on the shares themselves, I'm not here to talk about options, but I just want to mention it real quick. On the shares, my cost basis is 464, but I made $1,300 in option premiums. So my actual cost basis is like 460. No, I'm sorry, 451 is my actual cost basis if I include all those premiums that I took in. And by the way, today I'm going to sell another premium. Okay, I'm going to sell another call, and I'm going to collect some more. I'm going to sell same day call. Probably, I'm probably going to sell in the money. Maybe we have to see where we are by noon, but I'll probably sell a 460, 459. My goal is to be assigned on those Qs. I want to get the F out of that position, and I want to get paid to do so. Anyway, that's the Qs. So this is bullish, okay? This is a bullish bias, and this can affect our intraday price action. The daily chart doesn't really affect your day trade ideas, but it can. So you should at least start out with a quick glimpse of it. I want to know the low, and I want to know the high. So I'm going to mark those on the chart. Also notice we have a little bit of a gap here. There's a little bit of a gap in there, okay? This pattern is actually called a kicker. This is actually it's a bullish kicker pattern. And that's a very bullish thing to see. So I would anticipate that tomorrow is going to probably look something like this. And also tomorrow we have, I believe, Google reports tomorrow. There are some other big companies that report this week that may have something to do with this positive price action. I don't know. But if Google reports something good, they're going to look for any excuse for positive news. We're likely to at least see a test of green candle, at least a test of the high. I don't know if it follows through, but the likelihood of this thing attempting to reach that high back here is high. Okay, you guys following me so far? Let me know if you have any questions. So we know generally bullish. We have some sense of support and resistance. Let's go to the smaller time frame. Now on the hourly time frame, this is way more important when it comes to day trades, right? Because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get a sense of momentum. This is pretty clear. Anyone want to answer this one for me? What is the momentum here? Anyone want to answer that? You guys should be able to get this. I mean, you could say, I don't know, but I hope that those of you that have been following me for some time here know what the momentum here is. What is it? Come on, man. Don't tell me I don't have no one on YouTube. Come on, I have 4 people on YouTube watching me. One of you guys, come on, chime in. I want to see. I want to see something in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to be depressed for weeks. Andrea, how are you? Bullish. Thank you. Don't be shy, Andrea. Yes, super crystal clear. There is no question. This is bullish, right? Higher lows, higher highs, bullish. That's very important for our day trades. So that means that if we test resistance levels like we are right now, I should anticipate a break of resistance. I should not be aggressively shorting this. I can, but it's a bad idea, right? It's low probability. I should instead anticipate that the resistance is going to break, because in a bullish momentum situation, resistances are more likely to break, support levels are more likely to hold, right? My overnight support is here. That's from the daily time frame. As you can see, my overnight was the whole overnight, this blue area, the entire overnight was just bullish. Look at that, higher high, just bullish the whole night. So obviously, whatever took place overnight, the market liked it, right? See that? So supports should generally hold, resistances should generally break. That's very important for my day trades. Now, I mean, look, we have some pretty notable resistance going back some time there, right? A few days or whatever. This back here, this big move here, that's the tariff high, right? That's a tariff delay. Remember that tariff delay? Remember that day? That was the peak of that. And look where we are. So we're on our way back into that area, right? So those are notable resistance levels. One thing, so I should anticipate that they will break, but at the same time, I want to be aware of them in case I do get bearish reversal patterns. I want to be aware of my location, okay? Because just because we're going to lean on the long side doesn't guarantee that these resistances will break. It's just they're more likely. So let me just kind of throw some numbers in there. If you're looking at like a 70% chance of this thing breaking these resistances, there's still a 30% chance that the resistance holds, right? That's still a possibility. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, I can't put hard numbers on these. So the way I like to think of it is there's a greater than 50% chance that these resistances break, just like with that Bitcoin breakout, right? I was suspecting that there was a greater than 50% chance that it breaks out, but it could be 51%. It could be 60%. I don't know. Just greater than 50%, which means greater than random, right? Excuse me. So that's our general bigger picture outlook. Pretty simple, wouldn't you say? Like there's really not a lot of work to do here. Now, what we're going to do, this is my hourly, so I have some support, I have some resistance, but my support level is nowhere near the price action. I mean, look at that. We're nowhere near it. So what do? I need to look at some minor supports, right? I need to identify a minor support because I need something to work with here. So I can argue we have some structure here. Look at this. We have a gap back here, interestingly enough. Okay. That is notable. Now, I know some people, beginners, may not realize that that's an important piece of information. With experience, that will come. But even if you had not recognized that, because a lot of people are going to overlook that, even if you missed that, look at the price action in the general area of that gap. Look at this, right? And look at this. Here, hold on. These prices, let me put that there. These prices, that price range right there is inside the area of the gap. You don't need to know about the gap to recognize that price action, okay? You don't need to know that gap. Hold on, hold on, let me put that back over here. There we go. So how come you don't need the gap? Well, look, you have a previous high right here, previous resistance, right? Broken, it was broken. So previous resistance becomes new support. Same here. You had this red candle, which was a minor resistance, broken. All right, remember, this is the hourly chart. So that area is going to become sort of supportive. Okay, so we can use that reference area as a minor support area for our day trade longs. So if we get back into here, this area, we should be thinking long, especially since we have such a bullish move here. Pullbacks are likely to be bullish, right? We want to buy pullbacks, and we're having one right now. This is the hourly. So this makes sense so far. So what I've done here is I've determined my momentum, which is bullish, and I've identified some support and resistance levels. So I have some locations where I can anticipate some type of behavior. Make sense? Guys and girls, let me know if you have any questions. That's what I'm here to answer. If you're using the Trade Scanner Pro, especially because the Trade Scanner Pro is not highly intuitive. It's not something you're just going to figure out. The mistake people make is a signal pops up and they just jump right in. I just turned it on this time frame, the Trade Scanner Pro. By the way, when you get it, you got to turn these features on right here. Okay? There's no signal on the hourly chart. Okay, no problem. Got a pin bar developing though. Interesting. All right. Now, so we're pretty much done with our hourly chart. What do I do now? I go to my smaller time frame. So this I'm switching over to my 1 minute. Okay. And then on this hourly side here, I don't need to continue to watch the hourly chart because I got my information. I'm going to switch this to a 30-second chart. Right? So I'm monitoring 2 time frames for longs. And look, I'm getting a heads up for a long on my 30-second. My trend on these time frames, as identified by the Trade Scanner Pro, is bullish. If you look at the little notification up there, it says trend is bullish. And look, this is an ideal pullback. So I want to work on the side of the momentum. I'm not interested in shorting this thing, as we just talked about. We came off this resistance area. Okay, this is a good spot for a long. If we get that signal in the next couple of candles here, which is highly likely, that's the whole point of the heads up, I'm going to go long. And I'm going to go long 2 contracts because we're in a more stable environment. So I'll give 2 contracts a try. Okay, so that's the plan. There's the signal. Now, let's see if the next candle, I just want to see, before I buy this, I want to see how this next candle fluctuates, right? See, like if I get some like nice, decent green, I'll buy it. If it closes red, see what I mean? See how it starts fooling around on the red side there? I'll hesitate. I'll wait. Okay, but let's see. It's only 30 seconds we have to wait. Okay, because sometimes you buy it and the thing just goes straight to the stop, and I don't want that. Okay, I'm buying it. All right, we had that green candle close, so I bought 2 lots. All right, now we're going to get the bad candle on this one. All right, whatever. Now I'm in. Okay, I have to put. You know what I have to do? I have to put the trade tracking on these charts. I don't have the trade tracking on here, so it might be a little harder to follow. Let's just see. I'm in. I took the long signal. I'm just curious. What's the risk? 71 points on a 30-second chart. That's a little high. Okay, that's a little high. I'll deal with it with my 2 contracts. Now, where I want to switch back to 1 contract is if I'm seeing like close to 100 points. I should not see 100-point risk on a 30-second chart. That's too much. That's just too wild. Okay, and the reason why, like, yeah, sure, if it goes my way, I can make more money. But if it goes the wrong way, I'm going to lose a lot more money, especially on 2 micro lots. Okay, so ideally, like the other day on Monday when I was streaming, this risk number changes as the market changes. The other day, it was like 40 points, or it was like 50 points. It was low. The 1 minute was even low. I was like, wow, that's pretty low. That's a situation where, I mean, you can even consider 3 lots, 3 micro lots when it's that low, because, it means that the average prices, the average ranges are smaller. That's what that means. So that's a great thing about the Trade Scanner Pro. It measures your risk and it measures your profit objective, and it gives you a visual representation of where you should get out. So you have some sort of expectations here. Okay. I know where I should get out if I'm wrong. I know where I should get out if I'm right. And it's possible too with the trailing stop that if I have a runner, I can let my runner run, and I have a point of reference for that as well. Those are some of the great features of the Trade Scanner Pro. So again, I took this signal right away because we determined that I want to work on the long side, right? Now, remember on Monday when I was streaming, I sat here for 60 minutes talking. Remember? Go back and watch the stream. I sat here for 60 minutes before the first signal showed up. Remember that? And I had to wait 60 minutes. And I don't like to stream for more than an hour. But on like minute 61, we got our first signal, right? I got stopped out, and then I got the second signal. Ooh, I like that. Keep it going. Keep it going. Hey, Lav, the trend on the NASDAQ looks bullish. It is a good strategy to short. Okay, short. All right. Whoa, whoa, we got some news here. 10 o'clock news. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Oh, I got to get out of one. We hit the profit objective. This thing's like all over the place, man. Yeah, could you do me a favor and go back up there? I wasn't able to get out fast enough. See, this is why it's so important to have your orders in advance, because if I had my profit objective up there, I would have been out of at least one. It touched. As you can see, it touched the profit objective. I couldn't press my buttons fast enough to get out of that. We got news here. But what 10 o'clock news do we have? Anyone want to tell me what the news was? I thought, I know. We had that PMI. I think we had that S&P manufacturing PMI number or something like that. That's usually a 10 o'clock number. I remember that from Monday. That's probably what that was. I mean, look at that. And that's not even a major number. If I'm correct about that, can someone take a look at that on an economic calendar? If I'm correct about that, look at this. Look at this range that we got on that. That's not important. That's not like major news. Okay, look at this range. How big is this effing range? 152-point range in 30 seconds, people. 30 seconds. That's why it's so important to be aware of the news. And this news, if this was like some other type of news that I wasn't aware of, this thing could have blown right through the stop, and it may blow there right now. I'm going to switch this back to 2 because I may have to bang this thing out in a hurry. I don't like this type of bearish candle. That's a bad sign when it does that. Okay, when you get that long pin bar like that, right smack in the middle of that resistance, and it's just like rejected like instantly when there's a news catalyst behind it. Not good. Okay, that's usually not good. Now, I'm just gonna watch, see maybe if we can hold here or whatever, but if I'm gonna respect the stop, and that's that. That's the whole point. I mean, I can get out earlier now, but I have to give this trade a chance. That's the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro. It's supposed to give me reference points. Right? Now, ideally, I should have a hard stop in the market where, if it goes there, I'm automatically out. That's ideally where you want to be. I'm not doing that here, so I'm taking a greater risk. Okay? But so it's going to cost me a few extra points, whatever. I'll just bang it out. It's an eval account. You know what I mean? But especially if you're using real money in a real account that's not an eval account, like, look, the eval account, there's some money at stake here, and this could be a payout account if I can beat the eval, but I'm willing to be a little more aggressive at times. And that's one of the benefits to using an eval account. You can be aggressive. You could be a little more aggressive. Okay, I'm not being overly aggressive. It's not like I have 10 lots on or anything like that. Okay, I could just be a little more loose with my orders. Okay. So, Lav, you have a question. I want to answer that question, but I just got to monitor this here because this market is just kind of like jumbling around. We went below the entry price and we went back up. A lot of times I like to use that as an opportunity to add, but I'm not going to add. I got 2 on. I'm just going to leave it on. But like, for example, this could be an opportunity to add like a third lot. But, if I'm wrong and I have to blow this thing out, I'm going to lose like $280 or something like that, right? $70, it's 140 times 2. Yeah, it's like 280. So I don't want to be losing another $140 on top of that with a third contract, right? I don't like the way this market's behaving. It should be, especially in a bullish environment, it should be doing better than this. Okay. Notice my 1 minute, there's really nothing there at the moment, right? It's trying to give me a heads up, but there's nothing there. See that? My 1 minute is also giving me, this is kind of a bearish configuration, failed high situation. Not a good look. Not a good look when you're long. So anyway, all right, Lav, let me get to your question here. And I appreciate the question, Lav. Thanks for stopping by. The trend for the NASDAQ looks bullish. It is a good strategy to short when we see back-to-back green candles. Okay, no. Sorry if the question. No. It's okay. I want you guys to ask questions, Lav. I mean, it's not easy to trade and answer questions, but I'm here to answer questions. So please ask. I appreciate your question. So when you get no, so I understand your contrarian point of view, like a back-to-back green candle. But no, when you're using the Trade Scanner Pro, you want to align with the momentum. The candles are less meaningful here. Okay, so you want to align with the momentum. If the momentum on your smaller time frame is bullish, and we've determined on the larger time frame that it's also bullish, you want to work on the side of the momentum. That's where the probability is in your favor. Now, the times where you want to consider the shorts, like going against, is when, oh look, we got a 1 minute signal here. Is when you have like a support or resistance level. Like for example, right now we have a resistance level, and the market is sticking. Right, it's sticking at that level. It's not blowing through like theoretically it should. That's if you're going to take a short, you want to do it there. Like the trend is bullish, the momentum is bullish, but we're at a clearly identified resistance level, and we're getting signals there. Now, in order to get a bearish signal at such a location, we have to switch to counter trend mode. Okay. But since the momentum is generally bullish, I want to try to work on the side of the momentum because my probability is more favorable there, right? Now, if you're aggressive and you want to try to take the other side, you can try that, but your probability is going to be lower. If you're going to do it, you should be doing that, playing that game at a support or at a resistance level, nowhere else, right? That's what the whole point of counter trend mode is. Okay, so counter trend mode, is you're going against the momentum, but you have a justified reason to do that, like a heavy duty level. This resistance level so far is heavy duty. Okay, and it's based on those lines are based on the stuff that I drew on the daily time frame and all that stuff that I've determined earlier. So, like for example, if we were in a situation where we were testing the support, right? And then my momentum on these time frames is bearish because it'll say trend is bearish, then I want to switch to counter trend mode for longs. But I especially want to do that in this environment because the general trend is bullish, right? So support levels are going to be even more meaningful. That's something that comes with experience. So because the idea, Lav, is to align with momentum. Momentum gives us a little bit of an advantage. It improves our probability because you have to understand something. And I know you're relatively new and you may not realize this yet. And this is a lesson that takes a long time to learn. Markets are random. They're mostly random. They're not always random, but they're random often, a lot, which means most of the time we're going to be wrong half the time. That's what that means, right? No one can forecast the market. No one knows where the market's going. And all these people that claim that are just selling something, usually, right? That's why they claim that. So that's the first thing you need to understand. So if markets are random, then we need something to help us make decisions that are less random, right? We want to do better than 50%. So momentum is one way to align because if the market is going one way, meaning there's an imbalance in order flow. See, I don't get fancy with the terminology. I can get all fancy like, IC2. I can get all fancy with that nonsense and just basically tell you things that are explained in simpler ways anyway. That's why no one likes me, by the way, because I'm too simple, I think. And the people that like me are people that can appreciate what I'm saying because they have some experience and they've gotten beaten up a little bit and they realize that the market is not as glamorous as all these frauds make it out to be. And then they find me, and then my message is less is more. You want to take the least amount of information and turn that into something, not gather more. And the reason for that is the information that we consume is worthless. Most of it is worthless. So if most of it is worthless, why would we consume more? Anyway, but that's why I'm so unpopular. So my goal is if I'm going to improve my probability, I need to align with the order flow. And if we have a trend is an imbalance of order flow. It means that there's more buying than selling or vice versa. So if the majority of the crowd is buying, we have bullish like we see here. I don't care why the crowd is buying. I have no idea why. I don't care why. All I know is that the majority is buying. Okay, cool. I can work with that. And that gives me an idea of what to anticipate in certain areas. So what I'm really doing here is I'm anticipating human behavior. That is what I'm doing. This is primarily a game of psychology, crowd psychology. And most people don't paint it out that way. This is a behavioral game. Everyone else is all concerned with, like, math and fancy numbers and fancy things and tools and lines on your chart. That's all nonsense. You have to understand what's going on inside the candle. You have to understand why these candles develop the way they do. What's actually motivating the price? Okay? So a lot of these concepts that I subscribe to are basically from market profile. That's where a lot of it comes from. Market profile is a perspective on the market that has been around for a long time. And it basically looks at the market from the perspective of order flow. All right. And order flow is king. Order flow is a measure of how people vote with their money. Right. So that's how this works. So all this, don't get caught up in anything like it's overly technical. All you need as a beginner, learn trend, learn levels, focus on those two things. All this time that you spend, research those things. I mean, trend and levels can be a vast subject if you take the time, but focus your attention on those things, trend and levels, and you will do better than most beginners. Okay. Now, what I'm telling you, this advice, no one told me these things. I mean, of course, we always hear in the beginning, trend is your friend, learn, blah, 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 trend. Okay. But the word trend is very vague. Trend can occur on multiple time frames, and you can have conflicting trends at the same time. Okay. We can have like this bearish movement in a bullish trend. This is bearish movement here. That can be very confusing. Okay. I'm glad I'm talking because the market doesn't realize I'm talking and it's trying to work its way higher. When I focus on the price, the market sees me while focusing on the price and it turns around. I'm joking. All right, but you guys following me so far? So, also, I saw you just before. Oh, great. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. You want to talk about someone who has conquered the market, so, um, yeah. Yeah, you have to, and a lot of the guys that have been around like a long time in this business, a lot of them will say the same thing. Keep it simple. That's the same as less is more. Okay? Less is more. And that is a key thing. Most retail traders don't do that. They think more is better. And they get consumed with all the garbage out there. And I mean, there's new fake gurus popping up every day. Oh, look, I got a market perspective. Oh, look, I'm going to show you the strategy that makes me $10 million a minute, and I'm going to share it with you. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, okay. Okay. I've heard, how many times I've seen those videos? It's laughable that people still are gullible enough and naive enough and ignorant enough to consume that nonsense and believe it. But it's human nature to want to have hope. And that's what these videos serve as, a source of hope. And I can't change that. Okay. People need hope. So when you see the guy driving around in the Ferrari, not only is he selling you a dream, but he's also giving you hope. Oh, it's possible. I'm not wasting my time. I just have to stick with this a long time, blah, 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 whatever. Follow this guy. It gives you hope. Hope is poison in this game. Okay. I push reality. That's why my numbers are so bad. No one wants to hear reality. So I don't have the Ferrari in the background, right? No one wants to hear reality. People want to hear, hey, people, follow me and I will make you billions of dollars by tomorrow. That's what they all want to hear. That's what excites people. And look, we need that. Like I said before, we need ignorant people. We need lots of ignorant people, because if we had no ignorant people, there'd be no one to take the other sides of the winning trades. Someone has to take them. Someone has to be ignorant enough. Oh man, talk about ignorant. I'm getting all my money back here. Someone has to be ignorant enough to take those positions, to be confident enough to put their money into the market, to believe that they're right. Right? So they all trade on random nonsense, most of them, and all beginners. And you're probably doing that too, right? Because you're a beginner. We all started out that way. So, that's how this game is played. And the ones who have better information, it could be someone with a lot of experience who understands how this stuff works. It could be someone with inside information, right? There's plenty of people that have that. they're always going to win. And someone needs to take the other side of those trades. That's the great thing about YouTube and TikTok. They cultivate this huge crowd of morons, and they make for a great market. Okay, so anyway, but that's how we all start. And and if you're like someone that's struggling, this guy's calling me a moron. I'm not calling you a moron. I'm just saying, not you, Lav, but I'm just saying maybe people watching, this is how we all begin. We all begin in that ignorant phase, and it's in our best interest to find our way out of that phase as quickly as possible. And it takes some people a long time. It took me a ridiculous amount of time to get out of that mindset. And that's because I'm stubborn and I thought I knew something because I had some experience and I'm like, oh, I know better. And no. Okay. So it took me longer than usual because I was not following anyone that could hammer into my head these ideas that I'm trying to hammer into your head. No one was telling me less is more. No one was telling me focus on trend and levels. No one was telling me those things. So I'm like, oh, let me use these oscillators. Oh, let me use these moving averages. Oh, let me follow this. Oh, let me use this advanced technique. Oh, let me use that. Oh, let me use this, and I spent years and years and years just wasting time. Man, I had some money in this trade. Watching it just melt away. My trailing stop at least has reduced my risk. I'm just going to have to respect it. What am I going to do? I gave it a chance. I was all excited. And then the market's like, nope, time to make you look bad. All right. So we touch that trailing stop. I'm going to bang it out. Now, so at least the good news is the trailing stop has reduced my risk. That's not 70 points of risk. Okay. It's going to be smaller. So let's see. What is that anyway? If I get tapped there. So it's about 50 points of risk. 45. Okay. 45 is better than 70. So that's going to be about $180 loss. All right. That sucks, but it's not brutal. I mean, on this account, I have a $2,500 loss limit. Right? That's the most I can lose. So, look, I'm going to have red days. See, look at this. Tap it. Go ahead. Tap it. Stupid thing. Do it. Tap it so I can bang out of this thing. No, it doesn't want to tap it. Now, notice I'm getting a green column here, right? So that is a heads up for another signal, is what that is. So if I get stopped out, then I may have another signal to jump right into, which I'd still be open to on the long side. Okay, are we going to do it now? Okay, oh, almost. Got to respect it. There it is. Okay, out. So that was a winning trade, and we watched it go from green to red. But we never, we never went back to the profit objective. I had this chance up here to get out, but that was like literally a few seconds I had to get out of that. So that wasn't very realistic. I couldn't even press the button on time. And then it was just fluctuating around, and I thought, okay, I'll get another chance at that profit objective. And nope, the market's like, sorry, not for you. That's a triple top. Okay, so now again, a situation like this can be tricky as far as thinking, okay, the market's a short now, right? The market's a short, triple top, it's bearish. The momentum really hasn't changed. Let's see, maybe on this time frame it has. Let's see, is that bearish? Okay, this is bearish. So what that means, see, if you look at the top here, it says trend is bearish. But I'm not interested in shorts. So I'm going to turn counter trend mode on. I want longs. Okay, I want longs. So in order for me to go now, if it turns back to bullish, I got to make sure. Oh, look, there's a short trade in play there. All right. If it turns back to bullish, I got to make sure counter trend is off because I want trend on these small time frames. That trend can change a lot. See, the trend is bullish, trend is bearish. This will flicker a lot. See that? It just turned bullish, and I got a signal there. All right, hold on. So let's see my next candle. If I want to see this next candle, right? I want to see some green there. And I'll buy. In fact, I'm going to go for 3 on this one. I think the market is tame enough. I'm going to go for 3 micro lots. All right, I'm going for it. So now I put on 3. Hopefully, if this stops out, I'm done. I'm done. Okay, I'm not going to continue. Now notice another thing. Our 1-minute chart never stopped out. Okay, see that this trade on the 1-minute is still in play. It may stop out now, but it's still in play. If this stops out, I'm done because that's too much. It's too much of a loss. And you have to make sure. One of the problems with these prop firm things is if you get out of hand, like you lose your mind, you blow the account if you keep going. So yeah, it sucks. I have to lose a few $100s here. Okay, and it's gonna cost me more time now because now I have to make this back. The next few days or whatever. But that's the game, man. Right? And you have to accept that. If I get impatient and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to put on a mini lot and I'm going to make all my money back in one trade. It may work, but the problem is it works randomly, and then I'll blow the account because then the next time I try it, I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to blow the account. Trust me, I've been in that situation. Right? So if you lose a couple of times, I'm being a little more aggressive here with the third lot. You just have to respect it. The market's not cooperating. You respect it and you stop. The hardest thing to do is walk away, right? It's like being in a fight and then someone calls you a name, right? And everyone's like, walk away, bro, walk away. It's not worth it. And then, but you're emotional because the guy, like, he called you something that really bothers you or whatever. And now you want to, he's provoking you into throwing that first punch, right? Walk away, bro. Same with the market. Walk away. The market's going to tease you. The market's going to taunt you. The market's going to call you names, but the market is much stronger than you. Walk away, bro. Walk away. So if I have to walk away, I have to walk away. Okay? Whatever, man. It happens. So, losing is a big part of this game, and you have to lose in a way where it's under control. Right? Now, the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro, first of all, is my risk is limited. That first loss that I took, by the way, was not the full stop. Right? It was my trailing stop had reduced my risk. Now, people don't understand the magic behind that. Okay? My stop loss was reduced by like 25 points or something like that. So I took like a 45-point stop or something, right? Rather than 70. What that does over time is if I'm cutting my stop loss over time, you have to realize my profit objective is not changing. So my profit objective stays the same. So what happens is, let's just say on the average, my trailing stop is cutting my loss by 50%. Let's just say on the average, over hundreds of trades. That's what's happening, right? That means over hundreds of trades, if I'm reaching the profit objective, my reward risk is no longer 1.5 to 1. It's 2 to 1 because I'm losing half of what I'm making. That formula right there is how you make money over time. Okay? People always get wrapped up with, the signal, the thing on the chart. It's not the thing on the chart. It's your reward risk. Okay? That's what it is. So one of the biggest factors that causes wiping out the account is you lose more than you win. You lose $1,000, but when you win, you make $100. You're never going to get anywhere that way. And I've tried. Believe me, I've played with those asymmetrical systems where there's a higher probability. Okay, can we win this time, please? What time is it? Okay, I don't know why we just got that little spike there. But anyway, let me switch this over to 1 because this time I'm banging. I'm going to start taking some profits this time. All right, I'm going to take 1 profit here because I'm not going to give this whole effing thing back. All right, I locked in 1, so I only have 2 left. And let's see if we can get to the profit objective. I'll sell a second one. All right, so that thing interrupted my talk here. But what I was saying is, over time, like the Trade Scanner Pro helps you skew your reward risk in a favorable way. Beginners will lose sight of that because they're only interested in, I want to make $1 million right now, right? And that's all they're interested in. So if the Trade Scanner Pro doesn't produce that, they cancel their subscription. And you know what? F you. I don't want you as a customer anyway. If that's you, I don't want those type of customers because they're not going to be around. They're going to blow their accounts and they're going to quit in 3 months anyway. The wannabes. This isn't for wannabes. This is for people that are passionate about the game. I had that whole talk about that the other day, right? Being passionate about the game. You have to love the game for the game, like a chess player, like a Olympic athlete, like a professional athlete. They love their game for the game. Whether they get paid or not, they're still going to do their thing because they like it, right? The market has to be the same way with the markets. You have to love the market for the challenge of beating the market, for just the intellectual stimulation that you get from, whatever, being right or outsmarting the market, not for the money, but for just the game, right? And the money is a byproduct. So, but people have it the other way around, especially retail traders. Okay, prepared to bang out number two over here. Can we get to the profit objective, please? Can we touch it or no? Just a little touch, like a little, like a little touchy feely of the green line. I mean, can we please? Do I have to beg? You gonna embarrass me here? Come on. You can do it. You can do this. I have to talk to the market. Man, you guys got to hear me when I'm not on the stream. There we go. All right, bangy time. Okay, got contract number 2 out. Guess what? I have a third contract. Remember I bought 3? So now we can see if the trailing stop gives me a runner. Remember, the bigger picture is still bullish. My 1-minute chart, by the way, never stopped out, interestingly enough. If I had just got long on the 1-minute chart, I still would have been in that trade, never would have gotten stopped out. Came close, right? My trailing stop has now reduced my risk on my 30-second chart by almost half. But I'm beyond the profit objective. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give a chance for the winner to run. Let's just take a quick look here at my account. Yeah, I still have my 1 lot on. Okay. I'm up $216. Okay. All right. That's what I like to see. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a runner here. We're back up to this high. This is what I mean. Like, people shorting this. Remember I said before, this is not a short. And you have your clowns with your RSI. Oh, it's a short. It's a short. Hey, it's going against me. I don't understand why. Okay. And again, people may short this and be like, oh, triple top. When you get to the top the 4th time, it's usually a bad idea to go against it. Because if the market's truly weak, it shouldn't be up here 4th time. Okay? So something that's a thing that takes time to learn. Now it may stick up here at this resistance, but here's the thing. If this thing blows, and by the way, look, I'm break even at the trailing stop. So this is a risk-free trade. If this thing blows the resistance, which in theory it should, if it blows this resistance, you're going to see a vertical line, right? Just like Bitcoin blew through 88K, you're going to see something like this. And the reason why I'm confident, do I know the future? No. But the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of shorts up here. This type of price action it attracts a lot of shorts. So those shorts, they get stuck in this thing and they get squeezed. So they become buyers when they have to get out. On top of that, you have all the breakout traders. All the breakout traders, breakout. So the longs are piling in. And the shorts have to get out at the same time. That's what squeezes something through a level like that. It's all order flow. It's all price action. That's the key to this game, right? You have to understand the price action behavior. Now, what I just described may or may not unfold, but that's the theory behind it. Okay, that's typically what breaks a support or a resistance. Is you got a bunch of people doing one thing up there, and then they get overwhelmed by the other side, and then those people that were doing that one thing, the shorts, they now have to join the other side, and they squeeze this thing. All right, look, we're still struggling up here a bit. We're not getting that breakout. That breakout should be vertical. It shouldn't hesitate like this. It should just be vertical, like vertical candle, like squeeze. Right? That's what we should see. Now, what I like is we're above the profit objective. I'm going to respect the trailing stop. My trailing stop is way beyond my entry price. See that? Way beyond. I'm so glad I took 3 contracts on this position. Okay, it was worth being a little aggressive there. Now, I was aggressive on the long side, right? And we're generally bullish. So if I'm going to be aggressive, I probably should be doing it on the side of the market, not against it. All right. Any other questions so far? Let me see how many people follow me. Oh man. Oh. All right. Let me see. Let me get depressed here. Oh. Oh. Why do I do this? I'm gonna go cry in the corner for 5 minutes if you don't mind. Here, let me press my little my begging button here. Here, where is it? Where is it? Yeah. Do me a favor, people. Here. Press the like button, subscribe, all two of you. If you haven't pressed the notification button, press that too. I think I offer some value here. I mean, Lav would agree, right? Someone's watching me. At least I'm not talking to a wall, but I'm almost talking to a wall. Because once Lav falls asleep here, I'm talking to an effing wall. Except for you guys on Twitter. So come on, do me a favor, man. Help me out on YouTube. Cool. I appreciate that, Lav. Lav's like my only guy. He just started following me. So, I know this is not a convenient time for a lot of people, but I watch other fake gurus and they got like 3,000 people watching them right now. But they have big followings though. Hey, Andrea. Okay, cool. You need to break the algorithm. Something. I mean, it's not like I want to, people like, hey, don't worry. People say to me because they want me to feel better. Like they try to encourage me. They say, don't worry, one day you'll be a big star. It's not about being the big star. It's just, I spend an hour here and I would just like it to be a little more productive. I don't need to have thousands of people watching me, but 100 would be nice. That's not even a lot on YouTube. 100 would be cool. It just at least it justifies, okay, I'm not wasting my time here. It just makes me feel a little bit better. That's all. From Germany. See, Lav is all the way coming all the way from Germany. Guten Tag. That's all I could say. Germany. Nice, Lav. So I know we have another guy. I think Kai is also located in Germany somewhere, I think. Look at my trailing stop is at my profit objective. Beautiful. Very nice. Market likes me today, except for that first trade. The market is like, at least someone likes me around here, man. No one likes me. All right. Now, I spoke too soon. They're like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Don't let this get to his head. Let's turn this thing around. But so we've advanced inside this resistance, right? These two lines that we drew. Remember, we drew them earlier. We've advanced. That's a sign of strength, people. That's not weakness. Because weakness we reject. This is weakness. We reject, right? We reject. We don't, grind through it. That's strength. And that's squeeze, right? You're going to see, when we pop through the upper line, you're probably going to see some vertical action here, right? You see? You're going to probably see something like that because that's the shorts getting hammered. Now, look at this. We've been slightly higher. When we had that news report, we actually tapped that top, which is 19,058. Ooh, we're back in the 19s. When I get off this stream, I am selling a call, people. For those of you that have been following me, my cues, I am selling an effing call. In the money. I'm going to sell. We're probably right now in the cues. I don't want to take this trade off my chart because we're in it. But if I could sell, remember my cost basis on the shares, on my 100 shares, I have 100 shares, is 464. Now I'll switch this one over. Where are we? Ooh, where are we? 462. We're at 463. Yeah, when I get off this stream, people, I am selling a call. Same day, I'll probably sell a 460 or 461 call, something like that. I'll collect maybe $200 to $300 on it. Okay, and the goal is to get assigned. I want them to take my shares away. Take them. I don't want them. Take them. But I'm going to sell a call. And these are great prices. Okay, and it's a good thing I had some confidence on Monday when, this market's going back to zero. No, it's not. I don't see zero here. Do you? So I'm happy about that. I'm definitely going to sell the call. And that's a $300. That's an instant $300 trade. Takes me 30 seconds to sell the call. And I keep that premium no matter what. I think I'm going to make a slight I shorted. Okay. So you laugh. Well, this is how you learn. And trust me, the mistake that you made there, I used to do that all the time. I'm like, oh, the market's at the top. Oh, the market's too high. Oh, we got a triple top over here. It's a short. It's not a short, man. And it's not all the reasons that I told you, right? It's not a short. A market that's first of all, we determined, right, our first step was to determine a general trend. It was bullish. If we're going to go short, we have to realize that it's extremely aggressive because the momentum, we're going against the momentum. So the chances our probability is lower that it's going to work, right? If we want to be bearish, we need a bearish market. This isn't bearish. There are some bearish movements, minor bearish movements, but what they do is they suck in the shorts. And now look, they're getting all squeezed. See this? This market's this is a grind now. This is a grind. It doesn't even want to pull back. This is where the Trade Scanner Pro really shines because look at my trailing stop. Okay, right now, if I exit on the trailing stop right now, that's 94 points. That's $200 on one contract, okay, which I still have one. If I get out right now at the current price, that's 150 points. That's $300 on one contract. In fact, I may get out because with the trailing stop, you're never going to get the top, okay? It has to pull back to touch the trailing stop. I may bang this out because it looks great. Or I can use this profit objective on my 1 minute chart. I could use that as well. Look, we're not even at the profit objective yet on the 1 minute. See that? See that? It's nice to have that reference point. So again, people, if you don't use a Trade Scanner Pro, why aren't you using it? I mean, look at this great information I have here. I caught the trade on the right side. I have this nice runner. My trailing stop is getting tighter and tighter. I may just sell this thing because I want the money. $300 on one contract is pretty effing good. Remember, I took the other profits on those other two contracts. Imagine if I held all three. Goodbye. Out. I'm taking, I don't know if this is the top. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't the top. I don't care. I'm not going to let this thing go back to the trailing stop. I'm out. Okay, so let's see where I am at here. Okay, my P&L for today is $318, right? My total on this account right now is $55.25, right? So I have to make $2,500 more to beat the eval. Remember, I was minus 1,000 or minus 850 or something. I had to make that back, and now I'm up 525. And every trade that I take is documented on these streams. So it's not like I do stuff behind the scenes and be like, hey guys, I made some trades behind the scenes, and look, I'm up $1 billion with my secret strategy that you can learn too. Right? There's every single trade I take in this account is on stream. I don't trade this account otherwise. Okay? This market may go higher, but I realize one thing. I don't want to give back this profit to the trailing stop. $300 on one contract is a lot of money. Okay? And I'll take it. I'm happy to take the profit. So, but if I was just going to rely on the Trade Scanner Pro, there may be some more upside in this thing, and the trailing stop is what keeps me in. You see how that? Now, so a couple of lessons to be learned here. Number one, I got way more than my profit objective. So remember, I got out of one at 1-to-1. Remember, I blew out the first one because I'm like, I'm not going to stick around on this red candle. Remember that? And then I got out one at the profit objective. So the profit objective was 70 points. I made 146 points on my third one. Okay? That's double. So what is my risk on this trade was 50 points was my risk on this trade. I made 150 basically. What is that? What ratio is that? Anyone want to chime in? I was risking 50 points. I made 150 points. You guys do the math. What's the ratio on that? Anyone want to tell me? While we watch this thing get stopped out at the trailing stop. Good thing I got out. It's a good thing I got out. You know I'm in a good mood when I do Seinfeld impressions all the time. 3-to-1. That's right, Andrea. So instead of 1.5 to 1, which is the standard setting, I captured 3 to 1 because the market offered to pay me that. And the trailing stop kept me in. It's still in, hasn't touched it yet. And I recognize when the market just goes to a point, this just comes a point where just take the money, man. Just shut the F up and take the money. So I could have managed this a little bit better. I could have maybe held on to the 3 contracts and sold 2 at the objective or whatever. We could go back and we can slice it all kinds of ways. It doesn't matter. What matters is the way I managed it, right? So yeah, right, Lav, 3 to 1. So I turned a 1.5 to 1 profit to 3 to 1. Now that is what puts you ahead over time. Remember, I was minus 8 something in this account, and now I'm plus 535. I'm plus whatever that number was. What was the number? 525. Okay, so I made $1,500, well, a little less than $1,200 in this account, going from that minus to the plus. Okay, and I'm doing that, taking these trades, and as you can see, I have losing trades, and I'm still ahead. Right, I have losing trades. You saw my first trade was a losing trade, but my winner made up for that way beyond. Do you realize my swing? I don't even know what the P&L was on that losing trade. But I had to make that back. Plus, I'm net 300 and whatever dollars net. So my first trade was a losing trade. Okay. So what was it? I think it had to be at least $150 or something. I was minus something like that or more. Right. So you see how that works? The reward risk is what got me here because I won a lot more than what I lose. So that's more important than the signals you take. Okay. All right, you guys. So great session today. A great example of using the Trade Scanner Pro. Just a quick recap. What was our first step? We looked at the broader trend. We went to our hourly chart, right? We determined it was bullish. I mean, Andrea said it was bullish. Andrea, you were right. Then we drew some levels, support and resistance levels. I got some of them from the daily time frame. And then we went to our hourly chart and I got some levels from there. Okay? We're messing around these levels, right? That's what these lines are. But using our concept of bullish environment versus bearish environment, I was able to align with the momentum. I had confirmation from the Trade Scanner Pro because that's what it does. It confirms. It doesn't forecast. It has no idea where the market's going, right? I have to come up with that idea. There were counter trend trades in play at the same time. I turned on counter trend. There was a short trade in play. You cannot get confused by that. The weight is not on the signal. The weight is on your analysis. The signal confirms and then gives you reference points so that your risk is managed and your profit objective is determined so you know where you should be getting out instead of wondering, what do I do now? Which a lot of beginners go through. Okay? So I go through these steps every single time. Go watch my streams. It's the same thing. So that's why I do these streams. It's like a training session for you guys, and you guys can learn a lot from this, man. And I just hope that I can get a few more people watching me on YouTube. I know YouTube doesn't really promote streams. These fake gurus that have a large following on their streams is because they produce a lot of uploads, right? I mean, one guy I watch, he produces at least 3 uploads, 4 uploads a week. That's a lot of uploads, but he's big though. He's really big. So it's easier for him to do that because he pays someone. But I think YouTube prioritizes uploads. So I got to do more of that stuff. And I plan to. It's just, it's going to take me some time. All right. So anyway, any questions, you guys? Any questions? I'm going to wrap this up here now. Any questions? You guys know where to find me. Okay, marketmarketmarkets.com. If you have an email, you want to send me an email or something, you can send me a message on TradingView. Sometimes it takes me a little time to respond, but that's where you can find me, all right? If you ever get so many strange unsolicited messages from me, then asking you for money, remember, it's not me. It's a scammer. block them, report them. Please don't get scammed. I just have to remind people of that at times. All right. So people, thank you for watching. All right. I really hope you got value out of the stream. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And again, thank you for watching.